So I've kind of been pulling books from this collection. I've gone through 1, 2, at the bottom of this box were some VHS labels, and 3. Now these short boxes, I went through these are all silver and bronze, and that pile is new silver and bronze, that I have to bag and board. Those yet to be bagged and boarded. I'm going to process those later. Some really nice books in there, some good keys. Then what I'm working on here are sets or runs. So like we have a set of Secret Defenders. We're one issue short of Secret Invasion and Son of M. But yeah, some run of Incredible Hulk from the 90s. I'll just have these up. These will go on Whatnot starting at a few bucks if somebody wants some reading material. Then like sets like this, like House of M, full series, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, 1602, Elektra Assassin, so on and so forth. I have to kind of bag all these up. There's, Tales of the Teen Titans 4-issue. There's some Sandman, Death limited series, some runs of Doom Patrol, that sort of thing. So that I'm kind of putting all the sets to the side. I'll process those and box those up. You got to get some. I just kind of put these all together in either silver, gold, or magazine side bags, and yeah, have these as sets. So then there's some Sandman. I have to separate these out by the story arcs. These are all kind of in mid-grade condition, like in the 6 to 7 range. And then these are the keys that I've processed here, minor keys and major keys, and I have some over here that I'm doing as well. So let's go through some of the keys that I separated out in this batch. I'm going to go, I'll just go through the major keys and talk about some other books. Hello, panelologists. This is Jim from Bronzeville Comics coming to you with another video. Please comment, subscribe, like, do all that great stuff. Check out the description of this video for my eBay store, my email, my Whatnot, Bronzeville_Comics. We do sales every Monday at 10 p.m. You can get the discount code in the description, and also my Instagram at Bronzeville_Comics. You can reach out to me on IG or on email if you trying to get in touch with me. So I went through this collection. And you saw before the video started, just kind of the mess that is associated with a collection this size. And it is a slow process to break this bag and board, especially a collection like this that deals with mostly older books. If it's books from the 2000 forward, you can kind of go through fairly quickly and pick out the keys. But here, where you're talking about silver and bronze, the majority of the books have value, at least a little bit, but it's very condition sensitive. And a lot of times here you have condition issues, and you're much more likely to have missing pieces like Marvel value stamps, coupons clipped out, centerfolds missing, all that sort of fun stuff. Detached centerfolds, detached covers popped at one staple. So the conditions vary wildly. So let's just take a look at a bunch of the keys. These were the bigger books that I pulled out. We have the first Herbie the Robot, and all indications are we're going to see Herbie in the Fantastic Four movie. We saw he was in the movie poster. First, Terrax the Tamer, Fantastic Four 211. Terrax is a Herald of Galactus. He's the 4th Herald they use. Speaking of Heralds of Galactus, Fantasy Masterpieces number 4, which reproduces this classic cover from Silver Surfer number 4. So a lot of times this has value because a lot of people can't really get a decent copy. I mean, if you're going to pay, this is worth a little bit of money. If you don't have, at least I think probably even for a low grade book, $100 or more to get a Silver Surfer 4, you can get the reprint. This one I may slab. There's some defects. I'm going to have to press this to see if it does have pressable defects, but we do have a copy of Joker #1, his solo series from the 70s. We also have a New Teen Titans #1. They did have #1, but unfortunately not #2. This is the first ongoing series of the New Teen Titans. And what DC was doing at the time was they were previewing new titles in other books, like they did it with Captain Carrot and Blue Devil, Night Force, and New Teen Titans among them, even Masters of the Universe, with these inserts in other books. And so, man, would this have been such a much better first appearance for Raven, Starfire, and Cyborg? Man, it's a classic George Perez cover. Rom #1. Rom's making a little bit of a comeback recently, and Marvel just negotiated the rights, I guess, to put out an omnibus. Not a Romnibus. This classic JLA cover by Neil Adams with Adam Strange. Mid-grader. I'm really trying to... I go to shows, I hunt for that book in high grade. Another mid-grader, Justice League. 137. This... I believe this is the first encounter between Superman and Captain Marvel in continuity. There was a Superman Captain Thunder book. Justice League of America 141. This is the origin and first appearance of the Manhunters. And I wouldn't be surprised if that might be part of the storyline that they're going to use in the Lanterns TV series. And then these three books are all related. 183, 84, 85. This is a 3-part JLA JSA crossover with the New Gods, and this is the first meeting of the Justice League and the New Gods. This is the last issue of Justice League of America, drawn by Dick Dillon, who passed away after he completed this issue. Pretty young, I think he was in his 50s, and he had been doing over 120 issues at that point. Then George Perez took over, and we have these two classic Dark Side covers by George Perez to complete the 3-issue run. This Brian Boland. This is the previous issue, 188, is... Maybe... No, I think it's the next issue. 190 is the more popular of the Boland Starro covers. But still, it's a pretty cool cover. Some Marvel Silver Age... Amazing Adventures #1, which is the first solo Black Widow story. And the first story... her first story in her new costume. I mean, she did debut the new costume in Amazing Spider-Man 85. Now, this is a little bit of a mess. It is Doctor Strange #1. After he took over the numbering from Strange Tales, that his first volume didn't last too long. And then the second volume, you can see there's a piece missing. There's also the Marvel value stamp missing in this. So, not... doesn't have a great deal of value. 2 copies of Moon Knight #1, a newsstand and a direct. Remember when that was an enormous book? I do. I'm old enough to remember that. Micronauts #1. Now, this next book has got a little bit... I'm going to take it out because there's a little bit of something interesting. And I've seen it in this particular issue. Take it out of the bag carefully. Come on. There we go. It is Marvel Team Up 65. First appearance of Arcade, and also the first U.S. appearance of Captain Britain. And what makes this book special is that it has, in the centerfold, doesn't have Mark Jewelers, but it has this pizzazz insert. They did have a few books with the pizzazz insert. This was one of them. I'm not sure of all the books that had it, but not every copy of that has it. Another Marvel team-up. This is the first appearance of Despair. And, of course, on the heels of that Werewolf by Night special, Man-Thing became very popular. Unfortunately, Marvel hasn't followed up on that at all, which is really a shame. Nova #1, first appearance of Richard Rider. People have been speculating on this book for years of him coming to the MCU. I don't know. I'm not holding my breath, but I think it will happen at some point. Then Power Man, Number 48, this is his first team up with Iron Fist, and then just 2 issues later, the book is retitled Power Man and Iron Fist. Issue number 50. And then 3 copies of Howard the Duck #1. I still think Marvel's going to do something with Howard. With that chip up there. If you remember, he had a movie in 1986, directed by George Lucas and starring Leah Thompson, and it was atrocious. So maybe he'll get another chance. At least I think an animated TV series on Disney Plus would make sense. I had shown in the previous video X-Men 50, which is in my to CGC pile. There was also X-Men 51. This is the first appearance of Eric the Red. And 53. And this is a pretty sharp copy. Does have a kind of a subcrease. Well, it's not really a subcrease because it's off-center. But this is the first cover artwork by Barry Windsor Smith. His style was still in its infancy here, but a key book for an important artist. There's a little bit of a run of Defenders, including number 28, the first appearance of Starhawk. Giant-Sized Man-Thing, number 4. This is the first solo Howard the Duck story. Marvel 2-in-1, number 54. Marvel 2-in-1 run. I mean, this was a team-up book with The Thing that ran for 100 issues. He had started his team-ups in Marvel Feature before that. Not a lot of big keys. This is one of the bigger ones, especially from the latter part of the run. It's the Project Pegasus storyline, which ran in here. Not here. And it's also the first appearance of Screaming Mimi, who becomes a member of the Thunderbolts. Team-up books were something that started with Brave and the Bold. Brave and the Bold teamed up different superheroes once. Brave and the Bold is an interesting run. The first number of issues, the first, 20-ish issues were adventure stories. Really a product of the Golden Age. Like Atlas had the Black Knight, for instance. It's set in Camelot. You had the Viking Prince, the Silent Knight, and Robin Hood in Brave and the Bold. And then it morphed into a tryout book, which had Justice League of America. It had the first appearance of the Teen Titans. It had Hawkman, Suicide Squad. And then it became a team-up book, and it was different heroes. Then Batman pretty much took over the title, and he teamed up from maybe about issue 60 or 70 until issue 200. Superman, for a while in World's Finest Comics, in the early 70s, became a team-up book. It wasn't, for a couple of years, it wasn't Superman and Batman. It was Superman and somebody else, the Atom, Green Arrow, Dr. Fate, whomever. And then he got DC Comics Presents. Marvel in 1972 started Marvel Team-Up with Spider-Man, and then they started the Marvel 2-in-1 with The Thing. And those books really were trademark protection. It was to enable both Marvel and DC to get characters like Deathlock that they hadn't really used, didn't have their own titles anymore, or even their own features, and put them on the front cover of a book. I think that helped protect the trademark. So, little history lesson over. Captain Marvel 27, first full appearance of Star Fox. And number 28, this is the Origin of Thanos, I think. No, this is, I believe it's the Origin of Thanos. Warlock. This also has, number 10 also has the Origin of Thanos and Gamora. Number 12 has the first appearance of Pip the Troll. That became a real hot book when the Eternals movie came out, and then the Eternals movie came out. This also an early Thanos appearance. Another Nova number 1. This one's a little bit higher grade. Spectacular Spider-Man number 27. This is the first time Frank Miller does artwork on Daredevil. That's made it a key because of his close association with the character. Spoke about Man-Thing earlier. Volume 2, number 1. This is a book I'm probably keeping in the PC because I think it might be better than mine. It's like a 6.0. And it was kind of on its lonesome there. Justice League of America 31. The Riddle of the Runaway Room. This is the issue in which Hawkman is inducted as a member. So I think that might be better than my PC copy. I'm going to put it aside and determine that. I put this in my spec pile. This is Super Friends number 25. This is the first appearance of Green Flame, Green Fury, Fire, who became a substantial member of the Justice League in the Keith Giffen, Kevin Maguire era. So it's a non-canonical because it's in Super Friends, but I still think it's a pretty good first appearance that kind of goes unnoticed. And usually I can even pick it up for shows. It's like, $5, maybe $10 at most in high grade. So, kind of a character I'm quietly specking on. Actually, when I saw the Blue Beetle film, and it intimated that Ted Kord had been married to a Brazilian woman, I was like, but it turned out not to be the case, evidently. Doesn't really matter at this point anyway. Super Friends number 1, based on the Saturday morning cartoon series, which was part of my childhood. Savage She-Hulk number 1, first appearance of She-Hulk. Shazam number 1, the first appearance of Captain Marvel and all of the Marvel family and his friends and villains, all the people that were stuck in suspendium in 20 years. I think 1953, was that the last issue of the Fawcett run? I think the Marvel family was the last book published, and then DC got the rights and published it as Shazam, which they couldn't because they've already seen Marvel had Captain Marvel books. DC Comics Presents number 1. We talk about the team-ups. This is I think this might be the 6th Superman Flash race, and the story continued into issue number 2. Here's a Brave and the Bold with Batman and Black Canary, but this has the significance of being the first appearance of Nemesis. This is a book I pick up when I see it at the right price, just kind of throw it in a... there's certain characters, and some people in the comments will be, why the F-list characters? Because I like to. It doesn't... I grabbed this book. I'll probably put this one in the spec pile. It's also a great cover. I love that cover with Penguin looming over the city. So, anyway. Batman Family number 1. First team up of Robin and Batgirl. Batman 321, just classic Joker cover. Batman 313, first appearance of Tim Fox. Another classic cover with Batman's Rogues Gallery 291. Also has Lex Luthor there. I like how they're like, in this issue, the Catwoman. Yeah, she's right there on the cover, too. This, I thought, was a pretty sharp copy of World's Finest 156, and this is the first appearance of the Bizarro Joker. I think it's Bizarro Joker. Me and Bizarro Joker. Yeah, he already has a white face, so I think he's sane. 2 copies of DC Comics Presents number 27. This is the first appearance of Mongol. I think I'm going to put both of these in the spec pile. I think he's a really good villain that could be used. And then this might be the only... Well, this and maybe the Joker book I'm going to get slabbed. Does definitely need a press. And I talked about it earlier. And this is DC Comics Presents number 26. This is the first appearance of the new Teen Titans in this preview that was in the center of the book, the middle 16 pages. You get a free 16-page preview, yada, yada, yada. But, it's also, and it's also the first appearance of Starfire, Raven, and Cyborg. But, as the first appearance of those characters, this doesn't really work well. I think people complain about the cover. I think it's a Jim Starlin cover. I think on its own it works, but it doesn't work really as the first appearance of the Teen Titans. And there's one other book. I think I'm going to sell this raw. There weren't a lot of Silver Age. There were some. Saw a couple of the X-Men books, but it had this Fantastic Four number 18, first appearance of the Super Skrull, and that had caught a lot of steam heading into the Secret Invasion show, and well, enough said. But what's interesting about this book, it looks really great from the front. This is one of those books, the way that the Marvel books were produced, especially in the Silver Ages, the staples could be anywhere. They could be on the spine, they could be on the front cover and the back cover. In this particular book, the staples are on the back cover, about, maybe 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch into the back cover. But there is a spine split for about half the book. Doesn't affect the staples because the staples are not on the spine. So the front cover looks good, the cover's detached, but it still would get a low grade. But I think it's just a really handsome book, a nice copy. But I think I'm just going to sell raw. It's also missing that little chip up out of Thing's head. So that kind of does it for this collection. I'm not yet finished organizing it. I was going through like 7 short boxes that I'd separated out of silver and bronze stuff. And I went through 3 of them. And time has been, a lot of other things going on. Let me just say that. That have to be taken care of. And not comic book related, unfortunately. Although I did, head out and picked up some books this morning. Because, why not? And it's something I have to do to get out of the house. But I got through like 3 of the 7 short boxes. The books are all cataloged. Just now I have to bag and board them and get them ready for processing of what I'm going to do with them. Keep them. I have a stack of keepers. They go into a Whatnot show. They go into Spec Pile. And probably just 2 of those books are going to get graded. Maybe the Joker #1. I'm going to press it and see what it looks like. That book, to be worth submitting, has to be probably a 9.4. And I already have a 9.4. So, I would then be able to sell one much more easily because I'm not going to get rid of the 9.4 that I have. It's a book I want. And I finally have the whole run of the Joker. But, and the DC Comics Presents 26. So, those are probably the 2 I'll get graded. Everything else will be either put into the collection or sold raw or put into a spec pile. Just a few into the spec pile, not a lot, because I don't think especially in silver and bronze, I don't think there are a lot of deep cuts like you might have for more modern books. So we'll see how it all plays out. It's still a lot of work to do. And then there are probably about 50 sets that I have to put together. Miniseries, story arcs, maxi series. Just, fortunately the collection was fairly well organized. And the guy did collect runs. He did collect almost every issue or every issue of some books, which makes it a little bit easier to go through. And then you do have the runs intact. So anyway, it's getting late. Let me know what you think about the books I have in the comments below. It's late at night when I'm finishing this up. You can take a look at a couple of my other videos here. And this is Jim saying until next time, enjoy your comics.